Welcome, faraway friends, to another exciting installment of After Dark, the 12th. We have with us here tonight Randy, who plays the Marcus of Pollux. Yay! Thank you for joining us, Rand. I know you're a warrior because I know you just got a diagnosis of some ickies. So thank you for powering through that. Really appreciate that.
Whatever.
So I wanted to just chat with you about your thoughts as kind of the forward thinker of the group. I want to, at least currently, I want to chat with you about your thoughts on this third story arc, like kind of what you're anticipating, some of the challenges. You already told me that I got you with Khalid,
You did.
which was the NPC that, as it turns out, the hidden chosen enforcer to an extent that Corey's been playing for the last couple of sessions.
Yep.
And everyone has their speculations on what the story arc is going to be like, but I know that you really put yourself down it, and we do have a couple of visual aids when we get there. But I guess I'll start with, to go back a little bit, was the Jason Tenderheart Isle, was the Isle of Tenderheart, was it anywhere close to how you thought it was going to play out? What did you, and you can, since that's not the main thrust, you can just sketch it out, but like, what did you expect back in these days?
I expected it to be about me and me alone.
Clearly.
Well, mostly about me coming to my religion. I wasn't expecting Titus to become the Bellator Sanctus. Right? I wasn't expecting any of that. I wasn't expecting just the sheer depth that Allie went to with her character, and the places that she went with her character, which was amazing to me. I did, to be perfectly frank, and I know I shouldn't have because I've been playing with you for a really long time now, but I kind of almost like an Indiana Jones style situation where it's like we come to the temple, there's tests in the temple, we go through the temple, we get whatever, move on our way. I was hoping for books and like histories and things like that. We got Concord, which was great. that was definitely great. I'm really interested in the lore of the game, and that's what I was really looking for. And at least none in book form. There's plenty of lore to be personally, and they're going to extrapolate on a lot of it as we come on up. But I wasn't expecting the Isle to be like that. I mean, the problem at the beginning with Borealis, I mean, that just tired, right? It was almost like a nonstop slugfest from that forward on, and it didn't, and it didn't actually have to be, but it was. We navigated it. We lost one of our people, which kind of sucked. But only one.
So it's funny because I actually I had a lot of that. A lot of what you just it doesn't surprise me, but a lot of what you just said I kind of had covered in the notes that I wanted to bring up and make sure to make those points. So it's interesting. Again, not surprising to me that you kind of intuitively knew all of that and covered it. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's how does it feel? How does it feel different now in this initial getting back? And what are your very first thoughts on this upcoming story arc?
It's going to be hard. Donnie has to rise to a political place that he's never been before with Titus, and that's going to be a challenge for him.
That is
I don't
hard.
think it's going to be a challenge for Donnie, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for Titus to be able to navigate through this really heinous stuff that could potentially make or break our entire city. He will have Livia, with any luck, which will be a nice counterbalance to him to give him some advice and whatnot as we move forward. But it's going to be really tough. For me, it's always been that moral question of trying to decide how much of someone's religion I'm allowed to tell them isn't actually their religion, or what they've been worshiping all this time was nothing more than a fabrication that's gone on for a few thousand years and probably has some weight to it now, but it's a construct, right? It's not real. It's just, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
no, I do, and I mean, it's a very difficult, obviously, but, very much on purpose, I put you in a really difficult, ethical, theological, situation. "Hey, Alex."
Hey, Alex.
Um, and Corey gets to watch. Corey gets to watch,
Right.
from Constructed Chaos's lair.
Hey,
I love that.
hey, girl.
Um, and, how okay, no, that's all fair. I
With
guess I'll I guess I'll put uh, there I am. Um, this is what I was trying to do. So, I just wanted to contrast, I wanted to contrast how it was y'all leaving, and now you're back. You have, a deserted dock, et cetera, et cetera. I'm pretty sure that Donnie's, aw, that's very sweet, Alex. Thank you. Um, Here, as part of the official record, I'm going to put a little heart sign. There we go.
yeah,
Captured forever. And Donnie's initial thought, I'm pretty sure I caught it on his face, was that Germentum
back.
had been invaded. When I was describing how the fish was rotting and the boats were gone and all of that stuff. What did you think was going on when you got there after the travail with Khalid?
I didn't think that the city had been sacked, like really sacked.
Mm,
I thought it had been diminished in a great way. I didn't realize that it had taken Livia. Um, but when I started seeing Kithki manning the wall and a few people still here and there, I knew that the city was still intact in some fashion. I was
mm,
concerned about my family, obviously. I was concerned about the people of Jeramentum and Kithki in general. Um, but I mean, it was bad. I thought that it took us so long to get back because of the ship incident
mm.
that Zahar took that as an opportunity to slide in, grab the people, anything that they wanted, and run.
Which you're not entirely wrong about,
Yeah,
actually.
I figured though. It felt to me like Zahar is getting too big for its britches. Like with the annexation of Plulux, which again was a 50 population city after we left with all the people. Like it was pretty low,
It was
but they
low.
basically walked in and just took it over. And that said,
Yeah.
why not the rest? Jeramenda's up here. It's ripe for the picking. There's no lord there to stop us. No chosen lord. Great. Let's just
And
go.
at that point, almost no military left.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
it's
it was crazy. And to be honest, uh, I might have tried something similar if I was in the position of the Zahara leadership. Like, get whatever you can. Even if you don't hold on to like the main prime pieces, you'll still get some of it and move on. And Zahara has always been at least by my experience of them, has always been pretty self-serving. So it's just like we want what we want.
mm,
We have a foothold on your continent right here. Nothing more, but we don't need anything. We are patient. We can wait. And then they got Pulas. And there was no repercussions from that, from leftist regime that I've seen so far. So why not let's take some more? I mean, if they're not going to stop us, why not? You
no,
know?
they've they actually do have their own issues going on currently.
Mm. You
Um,
mean Zahar or leftist regime? Both.
Both,
Yeah.
but leftist regime specifically, because they're in a once in a city's lifetime, basically massive audit to see whether or not they return to the bosom of the empire.
Mm.
Um,
Don't tell me any more about leftist regime, though.
no, 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 no. Well, that you already know. Yeah,
Yeah, fair
that
enough.
you already know that they're being audited.
I did remember that.
Um, Before I roll on, Justin, is there anything that you wanted to ask Randy, about any of that? Like thoughts about season 3, things that you want to see, or just because like so often you're trapped, like a rat in a trap, producing, doing the Kraken thing, that and you're a very creative person in your own right, also a GM. So, uh, is there anything you want to fire at our resident cleric here?
Oh, well, I want to. I think we've said this a lot internally amongst ourselves. But Randy, you have been just a phenomenal watch around things like being able to like change the tide of history, as it were. Right? Ovid was destined to die based on what happened.
Mhm.
I mean, that was jaw dropping to basically see that unfold the way that it did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sort of this joke in the back room where, if the party wants to succeed, WWMD,
Right.
what would Marcus do?
Yeah.
So,
That's a lot to live up to sometimes, because sometimes I feel like I'm just floundering like everybody else, grasping at straws here. Oh, there.
no. Marcus is like the thing to watch with Marcus is that he has really been the one that is like driving forward this like long vision narrative that's going on, and that is going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. I also think that I think Marcus is going to be in for a whirlwind of tumultuous times, given that we now have a we have a break in what religious following he is going to be associated with. So,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you already know.
Well, yeah, and
But
you have a secret. You have a secret society that's going to be gunning to kill you now.
Yeah, which they always kind of have been, but now they're really actively going for it. The funny thing is, though, I was really on the fence about actually saying anything about it at all, whether I was worshiping Toya or when I was actually going to say it. But when I was actually in that last scene, in that last moment, when I made that last prayer to Toya in front of Kithy, God, and everybody, like, I was just so mad. Like, I was so mad at, like, another assassination attempt. Our home got invaded. These people, I'm just still kind of mad about it. And I'm just like, you know what? Loud and fucking proud. Here it goes. Tawea, please do whatever, right? I was really on the fence for a good while about that, on when I needed to actually say anything. But to be honest, I'm glad I did. Whatever the consequences may be, I'm just glad I did. It was important to me. It was important to my religion.
I am too. I mean, it's the goddess of truth, among other things. I put a lot of pressure on you from a lot of different directions, and you still arrived at the correct. I hesitate to use the word, but I'll use it here, at the righteous course of action.
Mm-hmm.
John, our art director says, John says, "I'm sure no one will be mad when Marcus destroys the fabric of the religious institutions."
Which I was just smiling about, actually. I was just like, yep. The funny thing about that is, like, I'm not actually interested in destroying Quaelathon. No, I'm not. I feel like he has much of a place there as the Great Mother, as any other god that's come into some kind of ascendancy through worship. They have a place there too. Whether or not it's a large one is fine, but I just don't like the church.
People love multiple perspectives, Mark.
What's that?
People love multiple perspectives, Randy.
Particularly about religion. Yeah, no,
especially about religion.
It's really popular. Yeah, John was saying it's a bit. Can you Randy? You can't see the.
I can't reply to it, but I can see it.
You can see it now. Okay.
It was the best moment of the dangerous. Yeah, it was super dangerous. And I actually took a pause or two when I was actually making that prayer of whether or not I wanted to say it. But then once it came out, it felt right. It was just like
that. Yeah. When you're talking about the prayer when you were actually making landfall at Germentum.
Oh, no. I was actually thinking about the prayer that when I purified all the fish and started that party, where I told everybody that I was Quaelathon, or that I was part of Tawea, not Quaelathon.
Right.
Because up until that point, they had always known me as the Quaelathon priest.
Much bigger. That's true.
Yeah, and it was like a good 2-second pause as I'm like, do I want to say Tawea? Yeah, I think I do. I do. I don't think Titus should bring it out just yet for a while. I think that needs to be a card we play when it's going to be most advantageous for us. But
I wanted to ask you a question that I think you're in a uniquely good position to answer. And then and then Justin, if again, like, just jump in whenever you want if there are any follow-ups you have on this, because our minds work very differently.
Yeah, fish prayer.
What do you feel like are fish prayer? What do you feel like are the biggest glaring differences between your job as the emissary of Tawea and Titus's job as her strong right arm?
Deep thinking versus action. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot of time to think about what we're doing, if it's morally correct, if it's right, if it's wrong. Like, all the things that go along with every decision that we make while using these powers that have been bestowed upon us. All he
Mm.
has to do, and I'm not saying it's all, I'm not trying to denigrate it at all or diminish it. Uh, but at the end of the day, he's the strong arm of Tuea. And I feel like I have to, like, make sure that I'm steering things in a correct way that's more morally sound than other people. Whereas a lot of the times Titus acts on emotion and feeling. I feel like I have to act on more in, like, intuition, and which is sort of the same thing as feeling. I have to use a lot of forethought in what I think about. The thing that you and I have had so many conversations since Dark Borders began about the moral implications of what I have to do and how I have to do it. Right?
Mhm.
You've never helped me on any of the decisions I've made, but you've always acted as a sounding board for those times, and for that I greatly appreciate it. Titus doesn't have that. He doesn't need that. He just needs to know what he knows and point and click, kind of feel like. There's going to be a time that he's going to have to deepen his understanding with Tuea. He's going to have to deepen his understanding with Concord and that relationship between them. But at this point right now, that's our bad guy. Make sure he doesn't hurt us, please, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
No, I'm picking up what you're laying down. It's interesting. I actually didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but I actually didn't expect you to have that nuanced of a formulated answer already for it. I'm trying to decide what direction I want to take this. I'll keep moving forward. One of these After Darks, I'll have to have Donnie over here and maybe have you back, and then have like a deep dive on morality and stuff, because I totally get why Donnie went with this, but because he went with I don't think this is spoiling anything, because he went with running with Wex when he was in the Psychon of the Cathedral instead of with Concord. There's a discussion yet to be had. It could be really short, maybe it's longer, basically about now that you're coming back to the world of muscle and blood and truth, you, Titus, you, Bellator Sanctus, this is how you are to function. Are there any questions? Sort of thing. So it's a different role.
It
for
feels
sure.
sometimes like when I think of Concord and I say our collective relationship with Titus, mine as almost father figure, hers as almost mother figure. It feels like we're actually kind of parenting our child as he's growing up. It sounds really bad to say, but I mean, he's like 18, man. Like, he's still learning what it is to be human, and this now much bigger thing than he ever was before. Not just the Lord, but the Bellator Sanctus, man. One of 3 in the history of the world.
Yeah.
One of 3, and you are it. Well, we got to make sure you do it right.
There was also
I want Tuea's plan to succeed.
There was I love how that's in your mind, Randy. Like, you're looking. I was just going to make a comment about the long arc of history. That you're very much looking at that both as a player, and I think even to some extent as a character. Like, Marcus is aware that Tuea's hand is that her hand is on the scales, in a good way, for once.
It's kind of funny sometimes when I actually look back at the timeline of Marcus from Pulux to Marcus to now. I can almost see the specific points that I can feel her finger on the scale pressing down, like getting me to places, getting me to the people I need to see, helping me get to my potential, which help other people get to their potential. It's like sometimes I can actually almost see the progression of that along the timeline. And it's really kind of fascinating to me. And it just really underscores that gods are omnipotent. Like, they see all, they know all. They might not know how everything ends, but they have definitely their plans, and they're going to fulfill those plans however the best they can. They're no different than, just vastly. Vastly. That's a...
Yeah, and some are. I don't know. Maybe you're giving me all these other episode ideas, like metaphysics of Terra, metaphysics of Darkport, sort of thing, because there are actually different kinds of gods in that Tuea is one kind of god, Etiel is one kind of god, and then you have people like the Magna Mater, like the Great Mother. You have or forces like the Magna Mater who are more like sunlight and wind and the fecundity of the earth. It's a very, very different thing.
Probably why.
Lost you there.
It's probably why it has such a strong connection to the Great Mother at the end of the day.
Mm.
I mean, she could have easily been my goddess as much as Tuea could have. Like, for Marcus's upbringing and everything like that, he was almost as much Kithki as he was human. So it's like, I love the Great Mother. Like, I love the Great Mother. Like, I always want to include her in everything that we do. Like, yeah, we got to make this a strong, powerful, like, alliance between the goddess of truth, or of justice and truth, and the goddess of nature, and the earth and home and the land. Like,
well, you're a very well suited to be a central spiritual figure in Germentum, then, Randy. What are your hopes for this arc coming up?
That we get through this first initial round with Leptis Regium relatively unscathed. Like, there's going to be some more tumultuous times in the future, but this first one is pivotal that we get through it, because this will decide if they march on us or don't, and just let us be for the moment and figure things out ourselves. I want individual personal stories to manifest themselves and build upon each other. Like, I am really invested in Ali's story. I'm really invested in Wace's story. I want to see those stories continue and evolve and progress. I mean, all the characters I love, and I want to see them all do that. But those two are the ones I'm really like hard focused on. Ali especially. Like, Ali.
No, I agree.
I have been so impressed by the fact that she's a brand new player and going to places that most new players would be too terrified to go to. And she's going fully, yep, let's do it. Oh crap, it happened like this. Let's learn from this and move on. And she did, and she does.
I'm gonna say something publicly that I told you in private. I am usually really good at anticipating what players are going to do, at least within a range, especially once you get to know them as people and you kind of know that. Ali Cutler surprises me more often and more regularly than any other player I've ever had at my table in 40 years of GMing. And I've had some remarkable gamers at my table, some people who do some real lateral thinking, but the way that her mind works and the way that she approaches the story is just
authentic.
It's kind of it's like singular. Yeah. Like I'm gonna tell Ali that, like, in person, because I want her to really, really hear that, and just like how much I appreciate that.
I've been playing game for a long time, and a lot of that with you over the years. I don't think I've ever seen anybody start a character brand new to the world the way she was. Continue to grow and grow and grow and build into herself in such a genuinely authentic way. Like, every decision that she made, even from that first one, is, what does a dandelion taste like? I'm going to eat a dandelion and say, oh, it's kind of bitter.
Yeah.
Like, it's things like that. Trying to kill the dog, then feeling bad about the dog. Going back to Aurelia's Field on this last episode and coming across one of the nicest couples I've ever met. It's just like, those might not have ever seen the light of day, ever, if she hadn't gone there.
That was amazing.
Now they're part of this world.
That was amazing. That was an amazing scene. I mean, like, obviously I have to storytell through that, so I can't have my jaw on the ground, while that's going on. But like,
smile was more than enough. So
it was just like, Ali, this is so fucking cool, that you're doing this. And I want to shout out Donnie for planting the seed in the way that he does so often when he said you were born of a mother's love, because it tickled her curiosity, and that was many episodes ago.
I
You
remember
know,
that. Yeah, right after he got the sword.
yeah,
Or
no,
the sword.
it was like such a heartfelt moment. And Titus isn't really the person to like go in, at least as he was now. I don't know. Titus is he's definitely growing and deepening too as a human. You know, but like he said it the best. Those were the best words for him at that point, and they were enough. I mean, they planted the seed. And then she went back.
All on her own volition.
Good.
All on her own volition. Like nobody like he planted the seed, sure, but after that, it was months ago.
No,
Like,
I had no idea. Yeah, I don't think any of us. I certainly didn't know what was going to happen there. Justin, do you have any thoughts on hopes for third season? And
hopes for third season.
Yeah, this can be technical too, as well as plot related. But I mean, you know these characters pretty damn well yourself at this point.
Yeah. I always like to try to grow we do technical stuff, new visuals and things like that for the game. I mean, we put in some of the new intermission stuff.
Those beautiful new biographies. Thank you for putting those in, Justin.
Thank you.
But let's see. Third, yeah. I sort of feel like we are about to really see the I don't know, the proverbial, shit hit the fan. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm actually really curious to see how much people sort of hold to their sort of inner core of their morals and things like that. And Marcus, in particular, I think is going to be very key to that. And there's sort of a hyper focus of that topic in your character, as we know. I'm actually curious. I have a question for you, Randy. I think we've always sort of assumed certain parts might have been difficult to play, but I'm actually really curious if I said, if you could describe like a memorable moment that you were role playing a really difficult situation with your character, which one would that have been?
I mean, to be honestly obvious, it was odd. Like we were out. We had nothing else to fear. We were ready to go. They were ready to let us go. And I couldn't actually allow him to go to the cross without saying anything for him. Because as I said in that episode, it's like he dealt with us in good faith. He was trying to help you. We betrayed you, not the other way around. Like trying to take a responsibility for our own act on top of that. But it would have been a disservice to Marcus if I hadn't said anything. And I was really struggling at the time to say something, because my modus operandi when it comes to things is we're out of trouble, let's stay that way. Let's fuck out of Dodge and then to where we need to go, right? But if I had done that, I don't think I would have been worthy to be the emissary of Tuea. Like when it came to that point, it definitely would have come up. It definitely.
Yeah.
But it didn't, because it just... I even remember, I went back and watched that scene, and I remember looking over at Capio when he told me, he was like, no, doing his shit, no, don't say anything, you're good. And then I remember looking around the table at everybody who was just staring at me, and I'm like, I gotta say it. Clemency? Please, Lord. I don't like putting myself in positions where it's like I could potentially get the party killed. And that one word right there was enough to get the party killed.
Although I have to say, Randy, you drew on your understanding of the world and also of what they're based in real life, kind of late Roman, early Byzantine Empire.
The funny thing about all that situation is I don't actually remember consciously using the word clemency. Like until I went back and watched it, I don't remember. I was going to ask him for mercy initially, and I don't remember what caused me to say clemency over.
Mercy would not have worked.
Yeah, I know now, because it's like whatever, but I don't understand what the shift was at that pivotal moment from mercy to clemency, because I wasn't thinking about it.
Tuea spoke through you.
Tuea spoke through you.
Yeah, maybe. That's great.
I mean, I'm going to keep pounding this in because I know you don't always believe this, Randy. You are a deeply intuitive player. I mean, you really do. Oh, we get an Alex shot. I love it. Yay! Those of you who watch Constructed Chaos get it. But and my obsession with Alex's beautiful bald head. But yeah, no, it was everything combined in that moment. I don't know. Yeah, at some point maybe we need to go like anatomy of a perfect scene or something. See, that's like the third idea you've given me now. But that has continued to have so many reverberations to this point. Is there any other hopes that either of you have before I kind of move on to my next thing for this third season? Oh, Randy. Mm.
Volume was down on the bed. There you go. Can
There
you hear me
you
now?
go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want Olivia to come back. I want Olivia to be part of our court. I want her to leave Leptis Regium completely. She won't. I understand why she won't, but I want that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to keep good relations with the Church of Quelathon here in the city. That's going to be difficult too.
Woo. Okay.
Impossible. Not impossible. It depends on what kind of allies I can bring to my bear.
It does.
Bring to bear. And I have a few theories on who I want. We've talked about some of those.
Yeah. It does.
And I have, I don't know, some good hopes for it. You know, but what do you want to see, Justin? Actually, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, with the story specifically, or the.
Let's go with the story, and then if you want to add anything on with the technical stuff, that.
Let's see. I
Thick hair.
Actually, you know what? Boy, this it's weird. It's weird that I'm saying this because I feel like this is also going to be hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to see what happens with the extended relationships. So your family hasn't really. I haven't really seen a lot of like the changes occurring. I mean, when you become a target, they potentially become a target, right?
Yep.
There's the relationship with whatever happens with Lilishly and any bonds that she has. I mean, I assume Griff is still somewhere around town.
He's probably coming back with them now.
It's funny. I came across an early short clip where they were kind of just, she was sort of giggling at his name when they just sort of first met each other, and it was just this incredibly innocent moment because it was before the big attack on the tower and before you guys went to the island. And I mean, it really just feels like I don't know. It just felt very, very different, very, very innocent in retrospect of where people are now. And so now that you guys are actually back in the town, I really want to see how things have rippled and changed and where that's going, because I feel like the complexity between all of the NPCs with the players is going to be much deeper than it was before. And that's oddly enough both going to be hard to watch, I think, and compelling to watch.
Agreed.
Hard in what sense, Justin?
I just think, well, I mean, obviously, it seems like if we ever sort of get something from, say, Jasmine's perspective about Merrick.
Oh yeah, fair.
What
Commander with Jason.
Well, Jason, I know.
I mean, I'm not looking at those.
I mean, we don't really know what's happened with Lydia yet. Hopefully she's on the ship on the way back. I mean, we don't know what's really occurred. How much has basically changed politically and strategically between someone like Titus and Lucretia. We've got Wesa and that huge amount of backstory that adds just such a massive complexity to her character, and like how I don't know how else to necessarily say it, but there's a lot of bad seeds in her history, it seems like. Maybe we'll see what grows out of that. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like a lot of these been set up like dominoes, and it's kind of it feels like there's this tension waiting to kind of see which ones really start to fall and really play out.
Two things to that, and then Randy, I think you had I saw a response on your face there. Yeah, in the scene with Wesa where she finally was the one to actually dispatch Khalid, that was not just a gratuitous moment for me. Like, that was very much what is happening with her character, as I understand it, as I understand Tatiana's intention, where like she's done, man. She's finished with getting slapped around by fate and she's working stuff out, and there's still like some major decisions to make. But not that Wesa was ever a victim, but like she's really, really not down for any of that now. Yeah. And so it's funny that Khalid probably had a better chance of talking of staying alive of anybody in that group other than Wesa. Like, Wesa had already made the decision that no matter what he said, no matter what he did, he was going to find himself dead before you got to Germentum, because she's just not going to tolerate it anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas like I can see a world where, depending on what Khalid's motivation is and blah blah blah, like Marcus actually could grant him clemency, or show like that could happen.
I considered it. That's why I tried to heal him. But
yeah,
that's literally why I tried to do it, because I wanted to know why of it.
So
I probably would have forgiven him for it. I did.
It's going to be really interesting to me as the Eurolit, again, I don't think this is spoilers, like as the Eurolit began to become a more on-screen presence, and we start to see more and more of that culture. Mm-hmm. I'm really fascinated as to how that goes. And I forgot my second point, so Randy, go for it.
Oh, I was actually following a trail of logic. So Zahar comes into Germentum. They stay for a day, kidnap Our Lady. Another lady from Leptis Regium leads the charge with a fleet of fishing trips.
Yep.
A fleet of fishing ships and a few chosen to get her back, depending on how they did, regardless of how they succeeded or not succeeded. I was considering how we could use that to our advantage by sending off Leptis Regium, who already has shown interest in Livia as a mate, to get himself into the nobility. If we could potentially set him off after Zahar, just to buy us a little bit more time for a while.
You're talking about the Magistrate Major, the leader of Leptis Regium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I just want to make sure to
gotcha. Yes,
so the faraway friends know.
Yes, the Magistrate Major, the Primate.
Yeah. Primate is the head of the Church of Light in Leptis Regium, and the Magistrate Major is like the governor, basically, of Leptis Regium. Yeah.
Either way, I thought it'd be interesting if we could actually set them on a course to actually confront Zahar for this affront. It'd be interesting. I doubt it would.
Fighting your enemies, enemy of my enemy, sort of, at least briefly.
The problem that I had with it was that no matter what the outcome was, Leptis Regium would still want their pound of flesh for said attack, for said action against Zahar.
Of course,
yeah.
It does give you time, though.
That's true. And that's when you were talking about like all that stuff that was going on with Livia and like Preach. I'm just like, we turn this to our advantage. Is it? Yeah, try. Let's talk about this and brainstorm. No, all right.
The one reservation, and this is purely a storyteller thing that I have about. You're not wrong, Justin. Like, the way you described it is entirely accurate. That there's been like deliberately, like by design, there's been a build and a build and a build of tension, and the campaign has gotten steadily. I think the contrast between light and dark has gotten steadily sharper than it was maybe at the beginning in some ways, even as like moral quandaries continue to be abound. The reservation that I have as the GM is I am a little, if I'm being completely honest, I'm a little anxious about being able to do all of that sweep justice, I have done epic stories before, and I know that I can run a conclave in Vampire the Masquerade. Like, I've run conclaves of several hundred participants with character sheets and personalities and everything. This is a little This is a little different though, because this is understanding the emotional tapestry of like an entire really in-depth community, and just really making sure that, like, it's not just Jasmine, it's all of Merrick's Seppu who is going to his extended family, who are going to mourn. It's and even beyond that, but like those are in Kithki culture, those are considered basically like immediate family, so you have like 30 or 40 members of your immediate you have a small village in your immediate family as far as the Kithki are concerned, and then like with Marcus's kith and kin, like I really do want to get, I know who they are, I have all of that stuff, I know how they're related to Marcus, and I do want to get back to them some. And sometimes I wish, and then just like all the kith, like I always feel bad when I don't take the time to name everybody on screen, but it's like you could have it like grind to a halt, and I guess this is just me like openly saying I wish I could go back to the days of unlimited time as a storyteller. Yeah. Where as long as the group, remember Randy, like back in the day in the Vampire campaign, I'd be like, right, everybody good? Okay, do you just want to, like, we get up, take a bathroom break, eat a little something, then we'll come back, like, or Justin, when when we would do like literally all day marathon gaming sessions. And then you can just like it's all fresh, it's all right there, and you can just roll through it. Anyway, go ahead, Randy.
Lasagna was always our go-to when it was time for
yes. The veggie
lasagna.
Vegetarian lasagna. Yep. From Albertsons. I think it was Albertsons was across the street. Yeah. In that one. Yeah. So anyway, that's my little like GM freak out. Like, oh my God, it's been, because like the island was intense, but the island was relatively easy from a storytelling perspective to run, because I was only juggling about 20 different personalities, really, whereas like with the and a lot of them y'all never even really interacted with, or you just stop long enough to kill them in the big cathedral fight. Yeah. So like they were still doing things behind the scenes, and there was still like byplay between Uriah and Avad and Barolis and Capio, blah 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 blah. But like basically that whole web, since y'all just bypassed it, like it didn't really, it did still happen, like it did still matter in the end, but it was very different. And now we're back in Germentum. I'm like, holy cow, man. I need to go back. Like, I need to go back. The GM of this damn series, I need to go back and like rewatch probably the first dozen episodes just to like reconnect myself with the roots of the story. Because one of my pet peeves is when storylines just go down the crapper, and you never get like resolution on like, hey, what happened to this character? Even if it's just to like, oh yeah, she just went off and she took up pig farming and now she's fine, sort of thing.
Good smart woman. Actually, to me, like the big events are all big and cool and stuff like that. It's the small ones that I really like the most, like the character interaction between people, getting to know people, like figuring out how to weave them into my own personal story and elevate them up so that they actually have a spotlight on them periodically. Like, I was actually considering how I was going to tell the Merrick story, and I initially thought that I wanted Titus to do it. Because he was so important to like the military and stuff like that. But I feel more of a connection to Jasmine than I feel Titus should have, especially considering what I was trying to heal him from and after the fact. So
until then, I would have said Titus had more history, but no, you're right. I think so now. Yeah.
And I was actually considering how I was going to do it. And I think what I ultimately ended up on is going to be like, I'm going to bring his entire Seppu into the room. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a story time about how Merrick saved my life.
Oof.
I think I thought of another element that I really appreciate, and it's interesting that you guys went to the island, because I don't know how it necessarily would have really pulled it together this way. Otherwise,
very different. It's very different if you don't go to the island, and you really didn't have to. No, I was ready for that.
You guys as a group speak much more to each other than you did before you went to the island.
Ooh, that's a good observation.
So one of the things, another thing I'm looking forward to in season 3 is before the island, it felt like everyone was really pretty isolated from each other. It's kind of like you had your family and a few of the NPCs, and you in particular try to branch out. But really, early episodes, Randy, like you were very, very quiet because your scenes weren't necessarily in play or what have you.
I was so afraid of my. I was so afraid of my accent, dude. I didn't even want. Don't look at me, Angel. No, don't. I don't even know me old. I don't even know.
And now the fact that you guys were sort of isolated for a while and you had to interact with each other, it feels like the connections between the characters and the willingness to work as a group and even just talk to each other or debate something, which are gold, by the way. You know, it's actually the same thing that I would want to see out of our Curse of Strahd game, and it's the fact that you guys have come back now. All of you are talking to each other in a way that you were not prior to leaving for the island. And I actually, I don't know, I just sort of thought about that. And I think that has been a huge boon to the storytelling. I think the fact that you guys are now in a much broader sort of world, that you're going to have a lot more people to interact with. It doesn't feel, I don't think we're going to see the same sense of like, this is Marcus's story. This one is Titus's story. This one is, you know, I feel like it's everyone's going to be sort of intermingling, and that's really a good thing.
There was a lot of things that the island did for us, but the one thing that I think best, aside from the emissary, the doc, stuff like that, aside from all the cool power ups and things that went on, I think the thing that the island did most for us was take us from a collection of forge us into an action where we fought each other and lived. Can you hear that?
We're losing you a lot of the times, Randy.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just thought it was really impressive how the island turned us into a collection of chosen into actual fellowship.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we had so much less human interaction with each other. Like you said, we were so isolated in our own little various fields that we just didn't talk to each other. You might have one or two of us mingle and meet up here and there, but for the most part, it was just like I was doing my thing. Waisa was always stuck in the pastry shop. Like Eric was always doing training. Which, I mean, it was always something that was just personal to them. But really, that island was a forge. I mean, it destroyed what we were, reformed us, reshaped us, and made us stronger for it. So it was brilliant. It was aptly named Becoming, because we became something so much bigger than what we were when we left, which was simply just a collection of people. You know,
that's a very, I think that's a very spot on analysis, Randy.
I really appreciate the island for what it was. I mean, it sucked. There was a lot of parts of it that sucked ass, but overall, it was like, I don't think that we would have had a chance in hell of coming to even the halfway point of the story had we not gone to the island to begin. You know, like,
it would have been different. It would have been different.
Anyway, guys, I am starting to fall out here. I'm gonna let you go because I love you guys so much. I will talk to you later.
Yeah, I just have I have my last piece, but go ahead, Randy. Rest up. Thank you for being with us when you're not feeling well.
I love you guys.
That. Love you too, hon.
Hey, Randy.
Yeah, this was the last one I wanted to show, which was just like this amazing, like how frickin' hard these characters have fought, all of them. But this just sums it up so well, I think, in a single moment, that I'm, as a GM, Justin, I have to like stay as impartial as possible to things, and you know, like, you know, and this is not really in vogue anymore, but like my philosophy as a GM is that I'm representing an impartial universe, except when I'm GMing Call of Cthulhu, the Keeper of Lore for Call of Cthulhu, in which case I'm actively helping the investigators because you're going to need it. But this is one of those. This is one where you know, the fan in me is just like, yes, they finally get to be with one another for however long or brief or whatever it is. But like, God, dog, oh my Lord, this has gone places. So, I just wanted to end. I wanted to end with that. And what are your? You got any final thoughts, Justin? As the the other end of this as far as the production team goes, of this madhouse where I'm storytelling and you're making this physically, electronically possible?
I think we will continue to see improvements to make the storyline better and better and better. Everything from more art, more music, more visual stuff that we can do. Looking forward to being able to bring all of that, because I think it makes the whole story more interesting and more relatable, if we can say it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Woo. Well, y'all, faraway friends, thank you so much for being with us. And this was not what the topic was going to be originally, but it's been that kind of day. So sometimes you just gotta roll with the flow. You just gotta do it. I'm sure those of you watching understand that all too well yourselves. Next week, I'm going to work, and I'm going to see if I can get a surprise for y'all. If anyone watching this, if you want to leave a comment now or in the section once this is posted, I'm always looking for interesting people to interview in the role-playing space. So that's kind of what I have my eye on right now. And there was a gentleman who posted a really interesting video about how D&D is a broken system, and I kind of wanted to talk to him about it. And he was somebody who'd been playing since he too was in 3rd grade, although a bit older than him. Okay, take care of yourselves. Thank you for spending your precious time with us, and we appreciate you so much, y'all. Take care.
Hi, everybody.